before I was even born. My parents met in college. Thankfully, even though my parents didn't work out, they married they married in Christ-like relationships, in their respective relationships. So even though my parents didn't work out, I really got to see what a good, healthy relationship is like. It wasn't forced, it was just a good relationship. And I'm really lucky that even though my parents didn't work out, I got my siblings and I've got my step-parents, and my stepmom's like my best friend, so it's all good. So going into high school, I always grew up in church. When I would go with my dad, I was forced to go to church there. When I was here, I was forced to go to church. I was always in church, never not in church. But I never really knew what it meant to live in a Christ-like way. I didn't really do a quiet time. I was never really taught to do a quiet time. It was just kind of a thing that was there. Like, church was a thing that I did. It wasn't really my life. And so I never really knew what it meant to live for Christ. So going through church, I think I got baptized when I was like 10. I don't remember. I was like probably like 9 or 10. I think I did it because my parents kept saying, so when are you going to get baptized? And I was like, I guess I'll get baptized now. And so I did. And along the way, I've had ups and downs where I've had encounters with Christ. Where, I mean, you go to those big church events like Winter Extreme and like Shank the Sand and stuff like that. So I went to several of those over the years, and it seemed like every time I came back, I would be rededicating my life and rededicating my life. I guess what I rededicated my life, like it was just kind of a thing that I did when I came back. And it was never, I still didn't get it. It was still, I don't know, I just didn't understand. And I still didn't do a quiet time. It wasn't important to me to do that. So in my 11th grade year, all of my friends, I had 5, and every single one of them had a boyfriend. And so we would always joke, Carson's the third wheel, and that was just me. And so, I never really had a boyfriend, and they all did. So for a while I started questioning what was wrong with me that I couldn't get a boyfriend, and I really looked down on myself and how I perceived myself, and just, how I thought of myself, I wasn't good enough, I wasn't pretty enough, I wasn't this enough. So, I would kind of just, if a guy was interested in me, I didn't really care if they were a Christian or not. I was just kind of oh, well, he's interested in me, so, alright, let's date. So, and my parents would always say, when I would say, I'm talking to this guy or whatever, my mom would be like, well, what church did you go to, Carson? And I'd be like, that wasn't something that I asked. And so I dated boys I never really had a boyfriend, but I dated this guy my 11th grade year, and he was very very nice to me, but there was a time in my life when I didn't even know God was real. I questioned if he was real, and this guy that I was dating at the time, he didn't really believe in God, so that didn't help me at all. And so this was a very dark time in my life, and so he would tell me all these nice things about myself, and he kind of pressured me into some things that I didn't really want to do, but I didn't want to be alone because I felt like all of my friends had their boyfriends were their number one in their life, and I didn't really feel like I had a number one in my life, or that I was anybody's number one or anything like that. So I didn't really want to lose him, so I kind of compromised what I felt was right and what I believed. So that haunted me for a long time. And when I finally told him that it was just not the life that I wanted to live, or like that's not really what I was wanting to do. He kind of got mad, and we took a break, and we weren't broken up. I wouldn't even say we really dated, but I don't know. So during that time, he cheated on me and went off, and it's this whole big ordeal. Like, I could talk about 20 minutes on that, but I left that relationship feeling worthless and useless and just unworthy. I felt like I had compromised kind of what I believed in, and it haunted me for a long time. And so this time between my 11th and 12th grade year was kind of a dark point in my life. I never really was a partier, but the music I listened to was trash, like garbage. My words out of my mouth were not very great, and I never really liked to drink that much, but I would because I felt like that's kind of what everybody else was doing, and I just wanted to fit in, like so bad. It's like peer pressure. I don't know. It's real, you guys. Peer pressure is real, and so I kind of gave into that a lot. And before I go on, I kind of want to read a Bible verse, Psalms 139:14, and it is, I will praise you because I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Your works are wonderful, and I know that full well. So during this time, I didn't really look to God for my self-esteem. I kind of just, I don't know, I just kept it into myself, and I didn't really think I was like fearfully and wonderfully made. Like I was kind of like, I don't know, like all my friends are prettier than me, like, I don't know. So this time was just very dark, and
one day so in fourth grade, I met this girl, and she became my best friend, and her family is probably the sweetest family and most welcoming family I've ever met. And her family was big into church. Every time I would talk to her, I'd be like, do you want to hang out sometime? She'd be like, well, I got something to do with my church. You can go with me. And I'd just be like, no, that's okay. Like, okay, we can do something another time. And then one day, her mom invited me. Like, her mom was like, you want to go to church with us? Like, me, a fourth grader, asked me, she's like, you want to go to church with us? And I was like, sure. And my first time at the church, we were doing Sunday school, and the Sunday school teacher asked me to read, it was like Luke 3 something. Me, never grew up in church, did not know how to find Luke 3. I did not know how to read it, so I went to Luke and just started reading Luke 1:1. And she goes, no, Luke 3. And I said, you want me to read 3 passages? And she was like, no, read Luke chapter 3. So that tells you any background about how I grew up. Anyways, so that was my first experience in church, was learning how to read a Bible. So then I told that Sunday school teacher, I was like, well, I've never been to church before. I'm in fourth grade, my first time going to church. And she's like, well, I'll give you your first Bible and stuff. She's like, and if you have any questions about how to read it or when you need to read it, so she taught me all of that. And my friend's family, they taught me a lot about church. They taught me a lot about Jesus. So I guess that was the first time I'd met Jesus. I didn't have that life-changing encounter with him in the fourth grade, but that's how I got to know Jesus and know who he was and know what he did. And so then I used to go to VBS in Birmingham with my aunt, and I got saved at that VBS in 5th grade. And so I went back home and I told my preacher, I was like, I want to be baptized now, I'm saved. And so I had been bugging my mom and my sister Kaylee, my brother, to come to church because my family did not go to church at all. Lindsay always went with her mom, and so Lindsay, it changed her life, and my sister started coming, and it was just a whole different, it was just a whole different person my mom was. It was like she had gone from just being my mom to being this person I could look up to now. But then, my dad, he's very hostile. He will not do anything that you tell him to. So he never came to church. He never went with my mom. We could never convince him to. And as I grew up, that was very hard on my mom because she always wanted to go sit in church with her husband. You know, you always want, when you're married to somebody, you want that companion to go sit in church with you and to learn with you and to grow with you. And she never had that. And me growing up, I saw that, and it was very discouraging for me to see how it discouraged my mom. So then about in the 8th grade, I stopped, I kind of stopped going for a while. I would only go when my mom would tell me that she wanted me to go. She, kind of like a pity go to church. And, then she got me to sign up for Street to Stand 2016 with the church I was currently at. And I said, okay, I'll go just because my mom wants me to go. But then I went, and Adam had brought a group of y'all there. That's the first time I met Adam, and he tried to set me up with his cousins, but anyway.
You did.
So I met Adam, and then I came back, went back and sat with my group because I was like, that was kind of weird. So I went back and sat with my group, and we had a good service. The first day I kind of didn't listen. Then Ed Newton spoke, and if you went this year and heard Ed Newton spoke, Ed Newton's just great. He'll speak to a heart. But so then he I was just sitting there worshiping, and I just started crying, and I didn't know why I was crying. I didn't know why. I was I just heard this good message. Why am I crying? And then it kind of hit me I could feel Jesus. I felt him was you need to do something. I can tell you're just because I was just dead. I was just I'm over this church thing. I'm over all of this. And then that's when I had my first encounter with Jesus. And I didn't get saved there, but when we got back, I talked to my youth minister at the time, and he helped me with a lot of stuff, and my mom did. And then Adam started messaging me, and Lindsay would always invite me to go to church with her. And I was like, well, I got these two people in my ear telling me to go. Might as well go one day because I was just really struggling at the church I was at. I was growing at first, and then we only had 3 people that would come ever, 3 youth people. And it was, my youth pastor was good, but then he just kind of got to where, well, there's only 3 people, so we'll just do games on Wednesday nights and Sundays and stuff like that. So I wasn't really learning. And I'd get something from the message on Sundays, but most of the time they would ask me to do nursery. So I wasn't really growing where I was. So I was well, I'm going to go give this other church a try, because I was so on fire after I came back from SGS, and then I started losing it. And then one day I was just why am I not on fire anymore? Why do I feel this way? Lost. And so I went to church with Lindsay, and that night we sung the song Cornerstone, if y'all know that song, before before message, and I don't know, that song got to me. I started crying then too, and then listen to Adam speak. I don't really remember what the message was on, but I remember I was oh my gosh, that was great. I'm pumped, yeah. And then we worshipped, and then I told Lindsay, I was I loved it. I want to start going, and I kept having these encounters with Jesus, But then, at the end of my 8th grade year, that was in 9th grade, so about the end of my 9th grade year, my parents, it obviously got, my dad not going to church obviously got between their relationship, it tore them apart, so they ended up getting a divorce, which was, really discouraging for me, but it mainly, was discouraging for my mom, because I guess her going through that divorce just, like, it was so discouraging for her, and she just kind of fell off too. And then, like, I always tell myself, like, when I was 12, like, I got my mom to come to church. Why can I not do it now? And, like, that's my biggest thing right now is my mom and going through all that and my dad. But, like I said, I was 12 and I got my mom to come to church. And that changed her life. And I just have to, like, remind myself sometimes, like, I was 12. I'm 16 now. I'm so on fire for God. I know Him. And I can do it. Like, I'll get them. And, you know, God's just been putting it on my heart to work on them and to just try to get them where they need to be. And I know I can't do it on my own. Like, Jesus has to do it through me. But, so ever since I came to Bethlehem, like, I've really been, like, I've really grown in my relationship with Jesus, my walk. Meeting all of you guys, of course, has been great. And y'all help me every day. Y'all encourage me. And I wanted to read you something. It says, it's Psalms 27:10, and it says, though my father and mother forsake me, the Lord will receive me. But that's not just talking about your father and mother. If you're struggling with anybody whose heart that you want to see change but you can't, you know, don't give up on them. It can be your mom, your dad, your sister, anybody, your best friend, and you know, you see them struggling. But I'm here encouraging, like, I was 12 and somehow, like, I know it was a big event for me getting baptized, but it was still very out of place for my mom to come watch my baptism. And I just, like, that was Jesus working through a 12-year-old. And Jesus can work through any of us. Like, I know that we have so much strength now. Like, we're a lot stronger than we used to be with our walk with Jesus. I've seen everybody grow, so I'm still working on my parents, and I just want to encourage y'all to work on whoever is on their heart right now. You know?